If you're moving to Savannah, one of the first things you probably did was open Zillow and then feel completely and totally overwhelmed by all the neighborhoods. Savannah doesn't just have a few neighborhoods, it has a lot. And if you're not from here and you're viewing this from somewhere in Kansas, you're not going to have any context about where you want to live. And you're not going to know any of the details around schools or your lifestyle. So all of our neighborhoods are very different. But here's the good news. You don't need to know what neighborhood you want to choose yet. What you really need to do is figure out what bucket you belong in. So today we're going to break down the Savannah area into main buckets. And these buckets are going to be tied to lifestyles. So I'm going to walk you through the main buckets we see people fall into when they're moving to Savannah so you can stop searching everywhere and start narrowing things down. Savannah makes a lot more sense when you stop thinking of it in terms of zip codes and start thinking about it in terms of lifestyle. So just a quick note on zip codes. Look at 31405. This is one of our most desirable zip codes, but it crosses this whole area and none of it actually makes any sense. Like there's an entire interstate in between these two areas. This part over here, like the Ardsley Park area, historic homes. This is Southbridge, which is like a golf community. So if you're searching in 31405, you're going to get completely and wildly different results. I just want you to keep that in mind. So I really want to help you understand what bucket you live in so you stop putting in a zip code and get completely confused by the results. Most people don't just live in one bucket, they usually overlap into 2 or 3, and that's totally normal. This video is not about picking out a specific neighborhood today, it's about giving you a map. So the first bucket is going to be walkable urban living. Yep, historic downtown Savannah. This bucket is heavier on nightlife, music, restaurants, bars, festivals, big energy. So people in this bucket want to walk to dinner and walk to shows. Maybe they want to walk to coffee. It usually attracts people moving in from bigger cities and people who value experience over space. This bucket is really about the lifestyle fit. If you want quiet nights and big yards, this probably is not your bucket. If you want culture, music, and activity, it might be exactly perfect. So the next bucket I want to walk you through is going to be historic neighborhood living. So this is where you're going to get more Savannah charm. So we're looking at homes, the Victorian homes, homes from the 1920s and 30s, sidewalks, mature trees, but with a real neighborhood feel. So I want you to think about the Victorian district, Ardsley Park, Baldwin Park, Parkside. They all fall into this bucket. So this attracts people who love character, but don't necessarily want the intensity of downtown. There's still cafes and restaurants that you can walk to. You'll see families, long-term homeowners, people who know their neighbors. And for a lot of newcomers, this bucket really hits the sweet spot. The next bucket is one that I am actively trying to coin, mid-city. So this is going to include neighborhoods like Kensington Park, Oakdale, Fairway Oaks, Magnolia Park, and even Mayfair. This bucket is all about proximity to where life actually happens. It's close to baseball fields, soccer fields, the mall, after-school activities, grocery stores, doctor's offices. Listen, if you hate traffic, this is a great place for you. You're going to be close to everything without being downtown. And for a lot of families, that's going to be incredibly appealing. And the next up is going to be coastal and waterfront living, but we're not talking about the beach. So I want you to think Wilmington Island, Whitmarsh Island, Isle of Hope, Burnside Island, even Tuolahee Island. This bucket is about winding waterways, the intercoastal waterway, boating, fishing, crabbing, marshes, and docks. It's laid back, it's residential, and it's absolutely lifestyle driven. You're going to be driving a little bit more and walking a little bit less, but you're gaining access to water and nature. And for the right buyer, this bucket is everything. Okay, so next we need to talk about the beach. So Savannah only has one beach and it's on Tybee Island. So it's going to attract a lot of second home buyers, lifestyle buyers, and people who generally want to just live at the beach. There are going to be really strict rules about short-term rentals. You've got to consider some weather exposure and limited inventory, but for the right person, there's nothing quite like it. Oh, and then there's golf. So golf is a big deal here. This is Georgia after all. So this bucket includes golf and gated communities. The landings at Skidaway Island is its own ecosystem. They have 6 golf courses, tons of amenities, 2 marinas, gated living. There's also going to be places like Southbridge and other neighborhoods that are built around golf courses. So one thing people don't always realize is that some golf courses have real estate attached and some are completely independent and do not have homes around them at all. So this bucket is going to attract amenity-focused buyers, retirees, families, and people who like a lock it and leave it lifestyle, especially in the gated communities. The final bucket is going to be space and quiet. This includes Effingham County, Bryan County, so that's going to include Richmond Hill, and then Effingham County, of course, includes like Guyton and Rincon. So this bucket attracts buyers who want land, privacy, maybe a newer home. These counties have a tendency to have stronger public school paths, and it's popular for families, remote workers, and people willing to trade commute for space. So for some buyers, this is the most straightforward path. And I would just want to give you a quick note about schools. So especially if you have school-aged kids or you're planning on having kids, schools work a little differently in this area, and there isn't just one path for your students. So there are areas where families can confidently put their kids in a well-rated public school from pre-K to 12th grade. And yes, Georgia does have state-funded pre-K, which is a wonderful perk to living in the state of Georgia. It actually surprises a lot of people. There are also places where your elementary school might be strong, but the middle and high school may not be the right fit for your family. Some families are going to choose private school. It certainly feels like an easy button, but it's more expensive. We also have specialty and magnet programs in the city of Savannah in our public school system that a lot of newcomers don't realize exist. So we're going to do a full video on this because schools are one of the biggest adjustments we see for families moving here. So if Savannah feels confusing right now, that's normal. The goal isn't to pick a neighborhood today, it's to identify your bucket, or maybe 2 or 3, and once you do that, everything else is going to get easier. We've broken all of this down inside the New to 912 guide, by lifestyle, not just location. It's designed to help you narrow things down without feeling overwhelmed. There's no pressure and no sales pitch, just clarity. And if you're moving to Savannah, make sure you're subscribed because the next video is all about moving here with kids.